What is up? Welcome to Mind Your Hormones. I'm so excited to have the conversation because I'm just like in awe of the women that I get to work with, the women in this community. Like, it is just insane. Like, truly, like, if no one has told you today of how resilient you are, how capable you are, how committed you are, how consistent, how dedicated you are, like, let me be the one to tell you and to remind you that because you are and you need to be giving yourself more credit. Wow, we're just diving right into this episode. Here we are. Well, actually, like, let me you know me, I'm just like, let's just get right into it. But wait 1 second before I do. I'm trying to remember to say this at the top of every episode. I don't do it every time, but here we are. I remember just now, so I want to do it really quick. We are doing a giveaway for pretty much every month that we're doing it now. So if you put a review, if you write a review on the show, it could be 1 sentence, 2 sentences, doesn't matter, like something super basic, super quick. If you write a review, you'll be entered to win an Amazon gift card. So I pull one person every single month and then we send them an Amazon gift card if they were the ones that were picked. And it could just be literally 1 sentence, could be 5 sentences, doesn't matter, but it really helps other people who are looking for this type of information find the podcast because the like podcast algorithm gods or whatever will send the more reviews the show has, it will send them out to people. And like you already know, this is the best fertility podcast out there, the best hormone podcast in general. So like we got to help a sister out. We got to make sure this is getting into the more hands of people. And like, I'm showing up here twice a week, every single day for almost 5 years. So this is just such a great way for you to give back. And I would appreciate it so much. And you'll be entered to win an Amazon gift card. So I just want to remind you of that. Now let's get back into the juice. Okay. Anyway, in case no one told you that today, let me be the one to tell you that I'm so fucking proud of you for listening to this episode, for doing the things, for making the changes, for showing the F up. And I just wanted to start with that. Now, kind of like tying into what we're talking about today, one of my clients, obviously keeping this anonymous, but one of my clients who's in the accelerator right now, like we were on a group call the other day and she's going through just a really tough season right now, which like all of us are always going through something, right? We always all are going through something. She's going through like her dad has a cancer diagnosis. Okay. And so she's like in and out of hospital. He just started chemotherapy. So it's really hard, right? And she also lost her mom a few years back. So she's going through it, right? And I've been working with her since September, no, beginning of October. She was in 4 weeks to boost the fertility, and then she moved into the accelerator. So October, November, December, January, February, March. So 5 months we've been working together. And when I tell you that this woman is so dedicated, she's so committed, she's so consistent, like the, honestly, all my clients are. Like, if I do not work in close proximity with clients unless they are that way, because like I'm not trying to handhold you. Like I'm there, I'm supporting you. I'm like telling you how it is. I'm there with you every single day, but I'm not gonna like message you, be like, hey, did you do this today? Hey, make sure you do this. Like, no, like these women, like they lead themselves, they're doing the damn work, and I'm there to support them every step of the way and give them like actionable tips and all the things. But the reason I'm having this conversation with you is because she was talking to me and she's like, she's doing the bare ass minimum of which she should be, of what she needs to do in her health to just do everything that she can to support herself. But she's also like, it's the bare ass minimum, but it's also like she's doing like what most people will never do on their good day. She's doing it when she's navigating such a hard season. And there's a couple things that I want to talk about when I'm bringing this up. One of them is you do not need to be perfect to have balanced hormones, because what she was talking about was how like the improvements she saw in her cycle this month. And she's like, holy shit, I can't believe that I saw these improvements, even though X, Y, and Z is happening. I'm going to give you specific examples. And also, like the second part of this conversation is like, what excuse are you making right now to not be consistent in case that is something that you're playing into right now? Because if she could do it in this difficult season, like you could do it too. And maybe you're in a difficult season as well. Maybe you're even in a harder situation. Like this isn't about, what's it like? Grading. What's the word I'm looking for? This isn't about like measuring who's in a worse situation. Like that's not what this is. This is just to put like a little fire under your ass of like, you can focus on certain things even when you're in a hard season. And it is honestly, that is the time that you need to be focusing on yourself even more. So you can show up and be able to support yourself or your loved ones when they are in like a tough situation, like you have to be taking care of yourself as well. And it's not going to look the same. Like you're going to have to prioritize. Some people overuse sometimes. And that's like kind of what she was talking about. But like you can still be supporting your hormones even when it's not quote unquote the best timing. So let's just start with the like, you don't have to have you don't have to be perfect at balanced hormones. That's something to talk about in the intro call in the Mind Your Hormones method, which someone just joined and they messaged me and she was like, wait, why am I tearing up already just from your welcome call? I'm like, literally the welcome call in the Mind Your Hormones method is better than some people's entire courses. Like, let me just say that. But anyway, you do not need to be perfect at balanced hormones. And here's a perfect example. She was telling me, she's like, my sleep obviously has not been great. Sometimes I'm going to sleep at 4 a.m. because I'm at the hospital all night. Sometimes I'm, getting just like 5 hours of sleep. Sometimes the other night I only got 2 hours of sleep. She's like, and I know sleep is so important. And, I was so worried that because of that, like, and I'm not like exercising as much. She's like, I was worried that things were going to go backwards. She's like, but actually this cycle, for the first time she could remember, she was not throwing up when she got her period. And it's so interesting because I have multiple clients that was a symptom of theirs, like throwing up on their period. And I'm like, wow, people like deal with so much shit during the period because they think it's normal. I think it can't change, which is insane. And she did not throw up during her period for the first time in forever, even though she's not like quote unquote being perfect with everything, and her sleep is whacked out and she's not exercising as much and all these things. But what she is doing is focusing on the most important things that she needs to focus on. And I'm going to talk to other things that she's specifically doing. She's like, these are things I'm focusing on, and like obviously it's working. And I'm like, yeah, these small things that are seemingly small, they make a big fucking difference. And like her mindset around it is so incredible. And that's why she's still seeing improvements, even though she's navigating something really hard and she's not being quote unquote perfect. So the things that and like what I said with that too is like I have such a different perspective on sleep now that I'm a mom, and sleep is incredibly important. Like this is not me downplaying sleep whatsoever. Like it is so, so, so important. But I used to be like, you have to have 8 hours of sound sleep in order for your hormones to be balanced. And it's like, yeah, obviously that's going to help a ton, but also that's just not real for some people in certain situations. Like when you have a baby, that's just not real. I haven't gotten a solid 8 hours of sleep straight since Madison's been born. She's a year and a half. This client is not getting a solid 8 hours of sleep, yet she still saw an improvement in her cycle. So it's like, and it's not downplaying sleep. It's just when there are certain things that you can't control. Like right now, she can't control the amount of sleep she's getting because it's way more of a priority for her and way more important for her to be at the hospital with her dad. Obviously, right? If you're a mom, it's going to be way more important for you to get up and support your baby when they're crying because they're teething, you need to breastfeed or whatever, than for you to get those solid 8 hours of sleep. Like it just is what it is. There's certain priorities. When that is the issue, when you're like, okay, sleep is just not happening for me right now, or whatever the example is for you, it's like this is when we focus on other areas of our health that are still going to support us and that we can control, and that's going to still help us move the needle forward, right? So when you zoom out and you look at how it's never just one thing that's going to make or break you, it's a series of things that you either are or are not doing. It makes it so much less stressful because like, okay, I can't focus on this right now, but I can focus on this. And another example for her, she's like, the sleep I can't control, but she's like, I am making sure that I have my breakfast prepared every single night ahead of time, because sometimes she'll get a call or whatever and she has to like run to the hospital. She's like, at least I know I just grab my breakfast and I go, and I'm making sure I'm still stabilizing my blood sugar in the morning. I'm having that breakfast. Like she's bringing like, protein bars and stuff with her, like almonds and stuff with her. So she's not skipping meals. She's like, those things I can control, and preparing that breakfast ahead of time is game changing for her. And I'm like, yup, like you could control that. And she is controlling that, because at first, like when it first started happening, like that was something that was off for her. And we're like, okay, what can we control right now? And this was one of the things that she is focusing on, and it's making a big difference. So for her, she's like, is it okay that I'm having like the same breakfast every morning? And I'm like, girl, in this season that you're in right now, I don't care if you have the same fucking breakfast for 3 months straight. We're not trying to focus on variety right now. We're trying to focus on path of least resistance when you are in survival mode. And I just care about you eating your breakfast, ideally within those 90 minutes of waking up, and that we're pairing it properly. I do not care if you're having the same thing every morning. And if that's easy for you, that's what we're doing. So she's having a protein chia seed pudding every single morning because that's something she could prepare ahead of time in batches, and she could just grab it and go. And she could stuff a whole ton of shit in there. So like she's putting her protein powder in there. She's putting the personal gut and greens and reds in there to make sure she's getting that nutrient density in. She's putting in this maca powder that I have her on for cycle regulation. Like she's putting in like her seed cycling seeds. She's putting in there. So it's like she's jam packing it with stuff. So she knows she's at least supporting, like she's having a breakfast, she's getting that in, she's supporting her blood sugar first thing in the morning, and like she's ready to go. So that alone is so huge for her because not only is that going to support your blood sugar, but mentally she's like, I'm taking care of myself. Like I got this. And she's focusing on not skipping meals, bringing the protein bars to the hospital because she doesn't know how long she's going to be there. And what she told me, she was, which was so sweet, she's like bringing lemons with her and having her lemon water in the morning. And she's like, her dad the other day was like, wait, honey, don't you need to have like your lemon water? And like he like heated up water for her. And I'm like, oh my God, like that just shows how consistent she is, that her father, who is, going through chemotherapy, was like, wait, honey, like, let me make your warm water for you. Like, I know you need to have that every morning. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I just love that so, so much. And it's like, if you were in a season right now where you're in survival mode, whether that's like newly postpartum, whether you're going through a grief season, whether you maybe just had a miscarriage, or you're going through something similar to her and like a family member is sick, or you're going through a divorce, or, whatever it is, like focus on the things that you can control and realize that you could like drop off the things that don't actually matter that much. Like she's not focused on extra things like castor oil packs right now, or like going to the fucking saunas and like this red light therapy and all this bullshit that you see, which is, yes, those things are awesome, they could be great when we're optimizing, but like that's not what she's focusing on right now, because that's not going to move the needle forward for her. What's going to move the needle forward for her is prepping those breakfasts, making sure she's getting them paired properly, bringing that with her, bringing food with her to the hospital so that she can make sure she's not skipping meals. And sometimes that looks like she's having like a protein bar and stuff for lunch. And that just is what it is sometimes when you're in that type of season. But this just goes to show you that you don't need to be perfect to have balanced hormones. And also, she had months prior to this of being consistent as fuck with everything in the Mind Your Hormones method. Like this client, like she is consistent. She puts in the work. I tell her to do something, she orders the shit, she does it right away. Like, so she has had months of being so consistent with everything that her body is more able to handle like things not being quote unquote perfect right now. Not that it ever needs to be perfect, but you know what I'm saying? Like she's more able to handle these changes without it totally rocking her. She's taking her supplements every morning. She's bringing them all with her. She's getting a walk when she can, like after meals. She's like, but I'm not really doing like, her Pilates exercises or whatever. And I'm like, girl, it's okay. Just like go for a walk when you can. Just get outside from your mental state. And that's the other piece that I'm really having her focus on is like, let's support our mind through this. Let's like, and what she said, she's like, it's really interesting that I think what's helping me is like, I'm not so focused on the trying to conceive part right now. And I don't feel as stressed about it as I did because her dad is more important right now. She's more focused on that than she is on trying to conceive. And that's when things really change, when you shift your focus off of the thing that you want so much and you stop strangling it and you just let it breathe and you surrender because there's something bigger going on for you right now. And I don't mean to minimize the trying to conceive process, saying that like it's not as big as this, but you know what I'm saying. It's like there's just something else that's taking more priority in your mental space where you're not bogged down by the thought of the trying to conceive, the 2-week wait, She's like, I just don't even have the mental capacity to think about it anymore. And she's like, it just feels like, I think that's helping me not be as stressed about it, and just why things are kind of like falling more into place with like, she's not vomiting before a period anymore. She didn't have any cramps. Like, she's like, I didn't have to take any pain meds for like the first time in so long. And again, this is the gradual progression of working with me for now, what did I say, 5 months we've been working together now, even though she's in this really tough season. So I just want to remind you that like, if you're in a hard season, like you can still make changes that are going to support you. You can still see improvements in your fertility and your cycle. You can still do things that are going to make a difference without feeling like you're dropping the ball in every area. Yeah, you're probably dropping the ball in certain areas of your health, but what is the most important areas to focus on? This is why it's so helpful to be working with someone so I can be like, listen, don't focus on that right now. Like this does not fucking matter. This is what you need to focus on. And like being able to like come in and like cry on a call if she needs to, or like just like, to vent about stuff and just get mental and emotional support. Like it's so, so, so important when you're trying to conceive to have that support. I cannot stress it enough, whether that's with friends who get it or somebody else, like another practitioner you're working with, like whoever. But when you've been trying to conceive for months to years, that emotional support is honestly vital. It truly, truly is. It's a mind game at this point. It's a mental game at this point because it's a stress. It is a stress on your body and on your mind. And the more support you can have around that, the better that it's going to be. So this is just my reminder for you that you don't need to be perfect to have balanced hormones. If you're in a really hard season right now, what are you focusing on that doesn't fucking matter? That you could just like let it go. And then what can you like, what are the things that you can actually control right now? Can you control just preparing your breakfast ahead of time, making it in batches, making sure you're eating within those 90 minutes of waking up? You have the protein, fiber, and healthy fat. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that combination, I have a free download training you can get, how to create hormone and blood sugar balanced meals. I'll put it in the show notes. Making sure you're not skipping meals, whether that's preparing food ahead of time, having properly paired snacks with you so you're not just like going out and eating things, getting outside for a walk if you can, even if it's just 10 minutes, like in the shower, doing like a silent meditation if that's what you can do. Like, what can you do instead of always focusing on, well, I don't have time to do this, or I can't do this, or it's too hard because I'm going through this? It's like, no, what can you control right now? What can you focus on? What can you do? And can you look at this as an opportunity to stretch your capacity and to also realize what does matter and what doesn't matter, and to really make this like, oh no, I'm going through a hard season, so it's even more important for you to take care of yourself. It is even more important for you to be prioritizing what you need to do and prioritizing your sleep when you can, because you need to get that rest in, but also knowing that sometimes it's just not available to you, and that's okay. Other things are available to you that you can support yourself through. And she's not, by the way, she is not using caffeine because she's not getting sleep, because that would be completely wrecking things. Like, she's not relying on those things for it, which is so huge. And I really just want you to ask yourself those questions and get really clear on the things that maybe don't matter, the things that you can control, how you can stretch your capacity, how you can just understand that you don't need to be perfect. Let go of the grip. You do not need to be perfect to have balanced hormones. It's not always about doing more. We recently did an episode on that. Like, it's not always about doing more. She's doing less and she's still seeing results. It's about doing the things that actually matter and staying consistent with it. So stop doing the shit that doesn't actually matter and really get clear on it and know that you're doing enough. And I know I've like recent episode on it, but it's coming up so much in my world. I'm like, I need to talk about this with you because I know it's resonating. Like, two parts of this. Drop the excuses that you can't do it, because you can do it. It might not look the way you want it to look. It might not be doing all the things all the time, but it's doing the things that are going to matter. Prep your breakfast. Get some healthy snacks for you. Get a walk outside for 10 minutes if you have an able body and you're able to do that. Like, take your supplements, the basics. This is what we need to be focusing on, and support your mental and emotional well-being. That is going to be so much more supportive for your hormones, for your fertility, for your cycle, than stressing the fuck out because you're not able to get a workout in today, or you're not able to, get solid 8 hours of sleep, or whatever it is, right? So I hope this was helpful for you to just see that, like, you could let go of the grip a little bit. You could let go of the grip. You could still see incredible changes. You don't have to be perfect. Like, I want you to support your mental and emotional health more than anything, because that's going to translate into everything else in your body. You've got this. If you're in a hard season, I love you. I see you. I'm with you. I'm in a hard season as well. And I just don't talk about like personal life things on here. So I'm not going to get into why, but I am. So I get it. It's hard and you could do it. And it's going to look different every single day. Some days are going to be harder than others. Some days your nutrition might be on point. Your nutrition might be on point, but just like do what you can. Could take care of yourself, whatever that means. Get outside support if you need it, and you could do it. Like, you can do it. And also, like, tough love part, like, what are the excuses you're playing into right now that just because it's a hard season you can't do X, Y, and Z? Again, there might be certain things you can't do, but there are things you can do. And I know you're capable, and I know you're resilient, and I know you're consistent, and I know you can be consistent. Maybe you need to be more consistent and more dedicated. Maybe not. Depends. I don't know. I don't know you personally, even though I feel like I do. I don't know you personally. But just check in. And yeah, I just really wanted to share this with you, and I know it's going to resonate. So please message me if what came through for you on this episode. I love hearing from you. I love just being in community with you, connecting with you. When you DM me on Instagram, it's just like, oh, I love you so much. Thank you as always for being here. Take some time after this episode to just like settle in and to see like what came up for you when we're talking about this. Take care of yourself. Do what you need to do to support you. You've got this, one step at a time, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being here. If you loved this episode and learned something valuable, please share it with a friend who you think would also love it, or post it on social media and tag me so I could personally say thank you for helping me spread this important message. I am beyond grateful to be here with you. So until next time, stay intentional, stay consistent, and always mind your hormones.